Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today our guest is a musical visionary who seamlessly blends the essence of Atlanta with the vibrant spirit of Baltimore. He's a masterful producer and vocalist, crafting genre fusions that resound with substance and capture Baltimore's creative scene. Please join us in welcoming my next guest, Jordan M. Graham, LordsWrath. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, man. It's good to be here. It's good to finally meet you. It's good to meet another artist in the game.
Yeah, man. We're definitely, I think, in having this sort of follow up. It's definitely, we had the initial conversation chat last week, and I'm like, okay. And what initially sparked me, how people will ask, how did you discover me? How did you discover my work, and so on? I'm out there. It's literally, and I saw maybe a snippet of the video for Puke, and I was like, all right, what's this about? And then I see people I know, it's like, okay, what's this about? So that's where that sort of, introductory, that sort of initial like awareness of the stuff that you're doing. And then I'm really thrilled that I was able to connect with you. So, awesome. Yeah. So as we start in that sort of vein of introductory things, I wanted to open it up and give you the space to, introduce yourself, and then I have like some sub points because I think there's a lot of strength and power when someone introduces their self. I can give you the sort of introduction that's written. It goes through Chat GPT's spell check. I want to have the dirty one. I want to have the real one. How do you present yourself, please?
So I think it's really important for me to start off with my roots. I'll start with the folks. My dad grew up in Canarsie, Brooklyn. My mom grew up in, I believe, Queens. And they were that close to each other, but never knew, and then ended up going to the same college. Weren't even, they ended up being best friends, and something happens once, and boom, here I am. But I always like to highlight the pastor and biologist whole deal, because it's an interesting story. But beyond that, a lot of my upbringing had to do with being in church a lot, and dealing with being judged, and it kind of really made me have to mold my character into this is who you are. And then so just starting off, I'm Jordan Graham. My on my father's side, we're Jamaican and Cuban. My mother's side, we're Trinidadian and Native American. I was born in Atlanta, and then we moved over a bunch of places to settle in Maryland when I was around 10. And my musical journey started around that time, where we spoke about my mom being musical, being in the Philharmonic, and then actually when I was born, she ended up selling her violin to afford a plane ticket to come and take care of me, be with my dad, so I think a lot of my music came from basing everything in some form of love, whether it's love can be angry, love can be sad, and love can be happy, and you can hit everything from there. But yeah, man, I started doing music seriously around 3 years ago. I got with the Nomads in the EDM scene, and mainly in Philly. A lot of people thought I was from Philly. I'm from Bowie, Maryland. You know what I mean? But I was just out there. You know what I mean? Making myself uncomfortable, going by myself, meeting other people who are making themselves uncomfortable, and the whole Lord's Wrath thing came from the whole being biblical. What's the greatest thing in the Bible? The most dangerous thing is when God gets angry, and I want to be the most dangerous, make the most dangerous music. But that more turned into having the Lord title, more of a royalty thing, and I'm from PG, you know what I'm saying? That's where you got all the hood niggas who are rich, who think they're hood niggas, but you got a nice life type shit, you know what I'm saying? You're good, relax.
It's all good, bro.
Yeah, come on. You don't have to be gang affiliated. You drive a Beamer to high school. Let's relax, you know what I'm saying? And I came from private school, bro.
I'll throw this to you because I think this really works.
Mm,
One of the names I've gone around and people who know me really intimately know that I know you're not supposed to give yourself nicknames, right?
right.
But Lord Lee has been one of mine for a while.
Bro, I'm saying the Lord thing is cool. It's just where it's at. It's like, because it's like, yo, not only am I like, you're a God amongst the gods, you're a God among men, and like, there's a lot of like philosophical semantics that go behind like these words like Lord and King, and when
Yeah.
you really break them down, they're very intense and they mean something. And you know, even calling yourself that separates yourself from people who call themselves niggas. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
I'll put it. I'll give you this. It's interesting because now we're just going to get into esoteric kind of Aquarius things now,
mm,
where like Lord and King, both four-letter words, right? And you have the jokes about the four-letter words and so on. And I remember, it was one of those things. I had this bit with one of my buddies of what like black guy describer do you appreciate most? Like when someone calls you Chief, what's going on, Chief?
mm,
It's sort of that level. And the other day I was out with my partner and we're going to get like coffee or something, and I ran into one of the people I know at the coffee shop. He's like, "What's good, King?" And she was like, "People
mm-hmm.
call you King all the time now." I was like,
All right, but see, guess who's taking a different level? Like the guys who are heavily influenced like by the Muslim and
yeah,
like that community, they call each other Lord and God. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
Like that's why they carry themselves like that, because like you getting called something that like you may not feel like right now. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like that, like on a deeper level, like that's it's gonna bring you out of like, damn, you're right. You know what I'm saying? I should be acting like this. Like that's why they carry themselves like that. That's why I carry myself like that. That's why you carry yourself a certain way. Like it's we you recognize it.
Yeah.
That's all right. You see it. That's what it is.
I mean, game recognized game, as it were. You know what I mean? Just Lord
Game
recognized
recognized
Lord.
game.
So
Lord recognized Lord.
so let's go back a little bit. You were touching on like making yourself uncomfortable, and I like that. That really stuck out to me of like going in there and kind of it's not pop psychology, but it's a version of it. I think for
Mm.
us to extend and expand, it's almost exposure therapy at
Yeah,
times. Like
absolutely,
but
absolutely.
when I get into a spot where I'm trying to like grow this, you don't want to be stagnant. You don't want to just keep doing the same thing. So I'm like, I'm going to try to stretch the boundaries. Who can I talk to? What type of interview can I do? And I work these things in there
Mm.
of, just kind of being in spaces where I don't like being around people a little too long. You know how that goes. And but I'll do it. I do this thing I call the override. So that's
Mm.
that sort of making myself uncomfortable because it has a goal, it has an intention behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Intention is very important. I've learned like that's what sets everybody the big against the little. Like like I was putting out good music before, but I
Yeah.
had no intention. You know what I mean? I was just like, this sounds good. You know what I mean?
That's like one of the things when people talk about like I know this is musically or whatever the art is, right? Music, painting, what have you. And people will talk about like, curators. You'll talk to people like reviewing the stuff. They're like,
Hmm.
man, this is great. This is sonically great and so on. But then you hear, doesn't speak to me. It's not saying anything. It's well done, but it's not saying anything.
Because there's nothing behind it. There's like, and going back to like making yourself uncomfortable,
Yeah.
I will relate it all. Like when I was putting myself in that position, I was like, I had dropped out of college, um, because I was like doing psychology, and they put me in a practicum where I was doing uh, I was doing social work for parents and children in the prison system
Oof.
at like 22. And my mind, like I had everything to like do the therapy thing, like and I even got through that. But like once I did, I was like, nah, I can't do this. I can't, like I don't have the capacity to take on your feelings because like I still don't know what to do with mine. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like that's not a like that's you're a job. You know what I mean? Like that's what you gotta do. Get up every day and like flush that out of your system. It's like, nah, I feel too much for it. You know, like I had to like relearn sympathy because of that, or empathy because of that, because you learn to separate that because it's a job so much. But like when it's kids,
That's the sort of a thing that, I'm around and I'm aware of it. Like I push back sort of some of these things that you put up this defensive posture, and definitely I think it relates. We put up these defensive postures, this sort of armor, if you will, to Ta-Nehisi Coates, right? And, especially when we're navigating with our creativity, with our creative work. And, I've been offered so many different opportunities recently to work with young people. And I feel so old saying that, but work with students, work with like teenagers and helping them kind of go through the whole thing of podcasting and knowing that people that look like me, that fit my specific demographic, Black male, are just they're in demand when it comes to working with, young kids that are, Black kids.
Yeah, I see that. I see that a lot. And what made me even more uncomfortable in putting myself in that environment, because there was not like a lot of Black kids like in the scene, you know what I mean? Like in the underground scene, because like, you get raised somewhere and it's like you call that shit white people shit, you know what I mean? And I went to school in Michigan, so like I was like, all right, I'm snowboarding, I'm skiing, you know what I'm saying, I'm doing all this like backwoods shit. Maybe they know some, maybe they know some. So like when I was like, all right, I'm back at home, like I'm gonna put myself and just I'm gonna go by myself, like go to these festivals, these shows in Philly, because I had like worked in Philly for a while, so I was like, all right, like I don't really know anybody, but I know the city, like I know where I'm at. So it honestly, bro, it took one time for me to go in there and make friends with other people who were there by themselves. And like I met my boy Justin, he's like Crux Dubs now, and my boy Jared, he is Pink Shinobi. They're doing insane things with like, we created a group, and from there, like people saw like, oh shit, like y'all were just fans and now you're making the music. And that was like the whole secret, like just sit down, get on the computer and figure out how to make what you like. And I was like going there with the uncomfortability, like I'm going here to make friends. But then I fell in love with like, I can make a sound on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like this is different. This is like a different type of power. So like gaining that uncomfortability, and like I'm a Black guy like in this scene, and like our group was like basically only minorities. You know what I mean? Like that's the group, like the Nomads. They're still the homies, and they're still doing big things. But they gave me big respect when I made myself uncomfortable again, and was like, I have to not do this anymore, because I got my rage out. You know what I'm saying? I'm LordsWrath. I'm angry. You know what I'm saying? It's gone. You know, and now it's like I have so much more to say, and like so much more that I can design. Like all I have to do is put my head down and learn how to mix and master my voice. Yeah. And I decided to do that last year around this time. And I was like, yeah, no more shows. Like I'm not going out, because like that's comfort. You know what I'm saying? Now going out to shows, people seeing me, like networking, like playing shows even. Now it's comfort. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to not do that anymore. Like that's like one of the hardest things. And because people think like, oh, he's gone, like you fell off. But also like I'm not doing the shit that I like anymore. So I can do something that maybe I like more. Yeah. And it was super scary, bro. It was super scary, because like, you think that, the fans aren't there anymore or whatever. But, when this album came out and the response I got, I was like, oh shit, like they stayed and they waited. You know what I mean? Like they waited, you know what I mean? And saw like I was doing something different, and like I did not. And this is no disrespect to the fans at all, because I love them, but I was not expecting like such a dynamic ear across the board, and like people are with the new shit, and I'm really excited to give them more, because like I got more shit.
And that's one of the things, and thank you for that, because I want to go into one question, because I want to step back a little bit, but at least want to comment on that. So, I think when we talked, I was telling you that I'm doing the stuff that's in Baltimore, obviously, and I've done stuff in Philly and other cities, right?
Right.
And I remember I reached out to one of my peers in the whole podcasting space and I asked him, should I make this a separate thing? Should I make it a separate feed? And he was like, I don't think you should. He's like, I think, if people are rocking with you, as you were touching on with the fans, if people
Yeah.
are rocking with you and they dig what you're doing, they're going to follow you. You just have to know where you're leading them.
Yes, exactly. That's to that's why I strategically, I'm not sure if you've seen the albums, but I think like I put out like just three major ones. If like I have to get on here because it's been so long.
I mean, I follow you on Spotify now, so
Okay. So all right. So let me let me figure out my music.
let me figure out my intro.
Okay, so make it worth what you left behind, and like that one was like first in there. Well, not first in there, but like this is the album, and like make it worth what you left behind was like I'm leaving behind I left Michigan behind, and I had an ex up there. Like I had to leave so I can like come home and like do this shit. So I worked on that album, and it was like, all right, make it worth what you did. But I was in the scene, and then Grips was like, this year I was like, it's changing. This is what it's gonna sound like. And then Path to Lord, that's like, this is what the album's gonna sound like. And then boom. So it was like, it's very strategic because you have to like spoon feed them into this is who I really am,
And that's the thing that that people get caught on. Like, I consume a lot of. I like the things that I like, and I consume them like kind of quickly. It's a bit much, right? And I remember this season of what was it, Black Mirror, and I remember people were complaining about the horror episodes of or leading to Red Mirror, which may be a spinoff that's horror focused. And I'm like, yo, just follow it. If you're with the brand, the type of storytelling, the attention, all of those things, people get very, persnickety. And I don't know if that's the sign of a true fan. Like I rally against fans at times because I think fandom, a lot of times I go to conventions and things of that nature. They're fans because you're doing the thing that they like. But as soon as you switch, they're not following sort of, at least in my opinion, they're not following sort of the trajectory. They're just saying, oh, you're not doing the old stuff. The Jay-Z line comes to mind,
This is what I have to say about that.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
There's like a difference between the people who like listen to understand and listen to react. And the people who listen to react are quick to speak their mind. And that's why I'm not on Twitter anymore because like you just see a lot of like, this is how I feel right now. And then 10 seconds later, it may not be how they feel. Like, but the worst part about that is when people speak their mind, they put it in a place where it's there for potentially forever. Yeah. So that carries a lot of weight because just like a review, you know what I mean? Just like how you're talking about, like, oh, I didn't like it. Like, all right, this is your first time seeing it. Maybe you didn't get it. Yeah. Watch it again. Oh, second time I watched it, it was tough, but I'm not gonna.
I'm not going to backtrack that one.
Exactly.
Try to complain.
So like you don't get to equalize the weight. It's just like negative all the time. It's the poison of letting dumb people say shit.
It's a great way to put it. I thought it was going to be something super eloquent. It was just like, nope, just very matter of fact.
Nope.
So let's go back into this. I want to key in on like sort of the process or what have you of, when you're like building out and thinking through the conception of, I want to work on a project. This is the visual component because there's a lot of distinct elements in the stuff that's out there, musically speaking, visually, from the brand. So talk to us about that, sort of the thoughtfulness that goes into it and, ultimately creating something with substance. It's not just music with substance. It's the whole thing has substance. So walk us through that a little bit.
So the best explanation will start in the music and end with the visual.
Sure.
So when it comes down to music, I used to do my best to like gimmick, like that was the EDM thing. Like what's the meme? Take that sample, manipulate it. And right now, I have to be vigilant in creating real life things like familiar. Like me and my girl were recently talking about like, yo, your alarm goes off at midnight every single night, and I'd be like, doo 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 doo. I was like, that's what I'm gonna sample. You know what I mean? But and it's familiarity for us, but who knows who else watches going off at that time? You know, everybody dances to like their ding in their car sometimes. So like let's take those fun elements. But then again, there's like also the aspects of my real life. Like I record a lot. Like my voice memos are full because you never know. Like if you plan on making yourself uncomfortable and trying to live an exciting life, record the audio if you're going to be a producer because there's very, very strange different things that go into it that create substance for another person and not just you as an individual. And we can go from sounds, but like overall, damn, I'm gonna tell a little secret, but a lot of the album is like me getting over like an individual and then like becoming confident in myself to be like, hey, get over it. So a bit spitefully, I used like some of their favorite movies and my favorite movies just to be like, and use those snippets from like getting over you, you know what I mean? Like, and like the breakup parts and like all of that. So, and like, that's personal for me, but like, I'm not the only one that's seen those movies. I'm not the only, so it creates a cinematic atmosphere where you're not just listening to like what I'm saying, but like what's going on in the background, something like that makes you feel something. And like, I put a lot of intention into that and like people will feel that. On the visual side, like, and just speaking about Puke, we met over 3 or 4 weeks planning that out. Very, very meticulously, very strategic. We've got notes on like what exactly we want in the video, and we wanted to make sure that Maryland was represented. We want to represent the like whitewashing of ethnic cultures in America, and we also wanted to highlight just like what Baltimore is, you know what I mean, and like trying to direct the scene in a palatable direction because at the very moment the scene is kind of everywhere. Everyone likes everything. That's okay, but we need a staple. And that staple, we used to have DMX. That used to be the staple.
Yeah.
And like it's gone. So what's next? And it's not who's next. It's what's next.
What's the next wave? Yeah.
Yeah, we can all start our own thing and then hone in on what it is that'll make here a more robust place. Not even a more robust place. It is a very robust place to be. It's just not represented nationally. Like even down to like the like civil engineering, but that's like a whole nother thing. But yeah, we met with it was me, Riddell, aka Eulogy, Jefferson. He's a very, very great photographer and videographer, and he works for PlayStation. And my girlfriend Madison Clark, she's a model and a photographer as well. And you know, her friend who's a model, a Siren, and we all just got together and this is what it's going to be. This is what it's going to look like. And then we're going to bring things from Blair Witch Project. That's Maryland. We're going to bring out the Crabs. That's Maryland. We're going to and we're going to do it in a way where everybody can see it. And yeah, just the visual aspect I made sure to outsource for because I learned that doing things on your own, yes, you can learn a lot from it, but it puts you in a box because everybody's special.
I think it takes away too, where you know it doesn't take away from like the vision, what have you, but it takes away from it makes it's like when someone is inefficient, it's just like I'm doing multiple things. I can I can do this interview, I can keep time, I can run this board. But if I wanted to, have the visual component with this, like actually have someone shooting this, I can't do it.
Right.
From this sort of stage. I'm sure it could be some version where I have a tripod and it's just on me, but I have a standard that's a little bit higher than that. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely understand. And like you want what you want, and like that's why it's important for you to like continue to network and then outsource, because like I've been in the position where I'm like, I want to outsource, and life was like, no, deal with this disappointment. I got something better for you in the future. Because, bro, even down to puke, like that was supposed to go to somebody else. Like that, like it was supposed to be like somebody else trying to help out in the scene. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like it ended up like life was like, hey, deal with being sad about it. Here's this individual, and I ended up working with Eulogy, and like he's now like my A&R, and like we're doing crazy things together. So yeah, man, like it's that combination of making yourself uncomfortable, like doing your own work, but also trusting other people who like, because you have to trust your vision, right? Like you got to trust like who you see. And like that was I saw Riddell, and Karan is a like very huge like aspect of this as well, because he connected me and Riddell, and he's the one that took the photos. And like I will take a little bit of time to like just say like how like important outsourcing for visual is for those who like are talented in a certain way. I'm talented in audio. I will admittedly tell you that I'm not talented in visual composure. I'm not. I'm just not. That's not. I'm a good model. I'll stand there for you, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm being dead serious. So that's why I had to like just ask my girlfriend, like, yo, what is good? What looks good? Like, who would be good? That's it. I ended up getting with Jefferson, and he like he's on a whole nother stage. Now I'm like, they're just like, oh, we'll do it for you because like this is what we like. This is our passions. This is when you learn to shut the fuck up and just let them do their thing. And that's
just let them cook.
Just let them cook. Let them cook. She stopped. I was trying to like put on my own thing, like in the video and whatnot. And like my girl's looking at me like,
nah,
we're not wearing that. What are you doing? And I'm like, I think this looks nice. No, let them cook.
I'll throw this to you. Where I always like look for that when there's these opportunities to do like live podcasts or things out there that are public. I'm sitting here in a dirty wife beater right now in track pants. That's what I'm wearing. I might wear this on stage. I probably wouldn't though, but
honestly, that'd be dope. Honestly,
just kind of sweaty, but
I'm just doing it.
But I remember one time recently, actually, my partner, she was like, you have a utilitarian style. You can go from the gym to the train to work, and it's all one fit. And I was like, look, I'm always busy. I don't have time to do these things.
You know how Bert Kreischer always does the shirt off thing?
Yes. I'm not quite there
yet. Bro, you should start doing lives. It's the same fit. Just Hey Arnold and shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's really funny. So I want to get this from you. You touched on, even in the call or what have you, that we had, you talked about this feeling around the Baltimore scene. You touched on it a moment ago. So I want to get your viewpoint on sort of like where is it going? Like, like from your specific like point of view. And I definitely want to get into some of your influences as well, but I want to touch on that piece. Sort of where is it going? Because, and I'm sure you've seen this and you've heard the different things of this is Baltimore, and it's kind of going through this renaissance and this reset, if you will. But it seems like certain voices are pushed up and other voices are kind of like, your story doesn't matter as much. And
I have a lot to say about this.
Please.
This is why I appreciate, the guys that like Michael Kandar and a friend of mine, Curran, at SPR, because they are looking for not the obscure, but like a blend, a different and I'll touch back on that in a moment. And I'm not going to like highlight the individual or individuals who like experience this, but you can be from anywhere. And as soon as you make a song that tracks and that is to industry standard, it's going to get picked up. And may get picked up by a major and may get picked up by minor, but that's what gets picked up. Industry standard. They have developed what industry standard is, and they have influenced creators to conform to it. And the reason why people think hot is because hot gets shown to you, and you are told it's hot by people who you think are individuals in their own way all the way. But
Facts.
no, they get paid. So you can be an obscure artist. You can have like your 100 song discography, and the one song that you sold out on, that may be the one that's popping. And that's what I think happens here all the time. And what I know happens from artists that are from here that grow into other spaces. Like you get pushed to do you, but what the ideal image of you, of the people who are putting money in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? So what does that do to the underground? It dilutes it. It destroys what was innately special about it. And the other weird part is it creates subgenres of music. And that is even more diluted itself. Now, I'm not saying that they're not important, but what if we just called Baltimore club music, and it'd probably get played in LA a little bit more, and then those artists, you know what I'm saying? Because you go back and you go and listen to the artists who make the Baltimore club music. Go listen to their old shit. They weren't making that.
Right.
We're conforming so you can hear a part of yourself in a way that other people want to hear it. So who do I blame? I blame the people who want certain things to be a certain way. Like even, and I love DMX, but like even down to like the black men and women who are from Baltimore or from like even this area, all of Maryland, what's pushed is that we fucking kill each other. You know what I'm saying? We kill each other, sell drugs, and fucking this is the only thing about it. Like you and it's real wild for people to hear about like PG niggas because like, oh y'all actually got money. You know what I'm saying? Like PG County, nigga, PG County, the richest black county in America. Like that's not rapped about. You know what I'm saying? Like no one's rapping about like the other like richest black city. Like no one's rapping about that because no one's getting money to do that shit. You know what I mean? So it's like it's happening here. It's happening here so much that nobody knows what the direction is.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want to give. Let's give everyone a direction. Like let's push wealthy black, wealthy white, wealthy everybody coming from regardless. You know, because there's a lifestyle out there that's shunned hard.
Yeah. You know, when I'm doing this, I always look at what feels genuine. And, you know, I've been podcasting a very long time, right? And I've done a litany of different types of podcasts, some movie review podcasts, some news and pop culture with a twinge of D's of the Mirror before that wrapped. And I've been doing this. And these are things that felt normal to me. And I was kind of ahead of the curve on many of these things. So am I a tastemaker? I don't know. I wouldn't define myself or look out for opportunities that present that. But when I see people just kind of doing the typical, I'm going to do a barbershop style podcast and we're going to talk about these things. That's in my specific lane, right? So I see it in music all the time. Like, you know, now granted, I when I was in New York recently, I definitely played a lot of New York drill, but drill is not a thing specifically in these different areas. It's just like we're jumping on a wave. Thought drill was a London thing initially, and then Chicago had their piece. and he kind of like spawned off and did his own things. But it's like, this was popping. This is my way in. So this is like the foot in the door, but through creativity.
Absolutely. And I feel you, and it's so much harder for you to be genuine when you're put in a box though.
Mhm.
Like when, oh man, my only way out is to like rap about doing the drill and actually doing it, maybe getting away with it, because that's how everybody gets put on. Bro, 21 Savage was a great rapper before he killed somebody. You know what I'm saying? No, no, I'm dead serious. I'm
Yo,
dead serious. I'm dead serious though. Like, but that's what got him popping. You know what I'm saying? And there's some sadness behind that story as well.
yeah,
But like, he still had that talent before then.
you're right. I think when you go back to sort of the machine, right? Whatever that machine might be, like, as you touched on earlier, when it comes to people kind of saying goofy things and then not letting it sit for a second. I hated this album. And then like 2 hours later, it's pretty good actually.
Yeah.
It's a version of that. Like all of these systems, if we're driven, by social media, the moment where, someone would say, like in media, or have you would say, Twitter has spoken. You've personified a social media app to be sort of the think piece and what
Yeah,
drives the
yeah, yeah,
industry.
definitely, definitely.
And
Absolutely.
you read about, and I'd imagine this impacts, you read about sync licensing and all of that different stuff. I remember listening to an interview, I forget the rapper, but basically he said that he did an album to fit those metrics, as you were kind of touching on earlier a little bit. And I'm like, do something that's wild. Like, I get it. You got to make money. You got to do that. But I think if more people are kind of being uncomfortable and stepping in that different direction, the lane has to open up a bit wider.
Oh, absolutely, and it would, but like it has to start somewhere. You know what I mean? Like it has to start, and that's why I feel like it definitely started with Eulogy in this aspect because he was like metal rap,
Mm-hmm.
and then like and not saying that it hasn't been done before, but like it hasn't been done here in that fashion, and then I'm not saying I'm not the next best thing, the next important thing, but piggybacking off of that, like I mixed, I did metal, jazz, and hip hop. I did like EDM and hip hop. I did like all of these blends, like, and it's palatable across the board. And like, who? My question is like, who's responsible for pushing it? Because the people are listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
But, they get drowned out, like the fans get drowned out all the time. And they also get like pushed by ads like, oh, this is cool. This is, bro, nobody was fucking doing perks in 2016 like that.
So hold on. So you mentioned, and I definitely want to get this from you. You mentioned like blending genre. So and I've noticed that, and I was like, hey, let this dude. Let me ask about this. So what is that moment where you feel like super excited when it hits, whether it be from the sort of overall overarching vision or even like blending, like, you know what, I'm gonna throw a little jazz in here, what have you. Like, I find myself getting really excited for certain interviews and certain questions I get to ask people. And then it's different levels to that excitement. So tell me about that. Like when you're like, this slaps, this hits, this is exactly what I wanted. This turned out perfect.
Okay, so there's a few aspects to that.
Please.
There's the production aspect, the I want to put vocals over this aspect, and then the one that encapsulates them all at the end of the mixing and mastering process and post production. Strangely enough, like some sounds do come to me through delusion. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, let's like let's expand on this. Like this is weird. And other times it's like very simple thing. I find myself active listening a lot. So like, and I try to go outside the box as much as possible. So the first part is like finding the strangeness in the normality, and then replicating that, whether it's sample or however, it's more than likely going to be through the sample process. That process fucking sucks. That process, because like you have to figure out what BPM am I feeling right now. You know what I mean? And like that's a weird thing to say if you like are not don't like think in BPMs like what, because I can be feeling 100, I could be feeling 90 like I'm smoking, like, but if I'm feeling like 140, 150, I'm gonna be like I'm gonna be saying some things, you know what I mean? So like it's like figuring out what that range is, and it's very like complicated and frustrating, and that's the worst and my favorite part. And then once you get your hit, like, oh, all right, this is what I like to hear over and over again. It's that almost like you get an active listening ear from EDM, because people think that it's like just a lot of one sound over and over again, and it's not. Like they're chopped up, and there's effect racks on these very different 1, 2 to 4 bar increments that will make you feel differently, and is very much so intended to make you feel differently. So like thinking with that mind after like getting what I want, like like now I'm having fun, you know. Now it hits. Now I get to put the 808s or the drums or whatever over that and manipulate it further. Like I know that I have it when I the day after I listen to my own discography, and I'm like better than all that. Like I'm every day I'm trying to top my last shit every day. So like if it's not better than what I had the day before, it's not gonna work for me. And so I know that I know that I'm happy when I've beaten myself, basically.
Yeah, I like that. I like it. Yeah, when you're as good as the last thing that you made, and
Exactly.
it's kind of the mentality or what have you. And I try not to put too much pressure on myself when I'm doing this sort of stuff, because it's a collaborative thing, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I would say, like, it's almost like using the jazz thing, right? It's almost like you're improving. It's just like, well, hope you got that note, bro.
Exactly. Exactly. What we doing next? But and you just looking at each other. Are we going into this question?
There
You
might
know
be
what I mean?
there might be different things that are lit while we're doing it.
Hey, bro, exactly. You're aware. You're
So
aware.
I got two more questions I want to hit you with before I hit you with those rapid fires. I've been adding to it to this what we've been talking.
Gotcha.
Um, so this is proudly this is a Baltimore centric podcast. So like just what do you want to see, if you were to put a really fine point on it? What do you want to see like in the next 5 years, as far as the Baltimore scene, whether it be sort of the crossover component to it, of sort of the export from the underground scene? What do you want to see in the next 5 years for Baltimore, as we're in the beginning of this renaissance?
Well, one, I think that like it has to start with community. Um, Me and my boy Glenn have been like putting together a way for like high fashion to serve the community, and then in turn, you know, showing them something better. Like I look, bro. Like I love the Squeegee Boys, but like let's get them off the street. You know what I'm saying? Like let's put some money in their pockets and give them something better. Like let's get some protection for the 12 o'clock boys. You know what I'm saying? Like let's make some music that protects our people. That's number one. Number two, like let's get some direction. Let's figure out what our foundations are, and like it very much so is so vast that it can be a lot of things, but it's not palatable for the rest of the world. So like, yeah, we got the Oreos. Yeah, we're black and orange. Yeah, like all right, so let's put that in some high fashion. And like we have the opportunity to do that now. Like working with Lapstone and working with some overseas folks as well, like getting the same fabric as Louis Vuitton for t-shirts. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, it's gonna be high fashion, and like let's like if no one's gonna put money into like making it look better, let's make the people more fly. You know what I'm saying? Like let's put you put some good threats on somebody, that's some good confidence. You know what I mean? Like let's build a store here. You know what I mean? And that may be happening in the near future. And I can't really expand on that at the very moment, but like it's going to be for the people. You know what I mean? Like let's do more of that. Like feed the people's. We're constantly giving the people like stuff for their shit back, and like the unevenness of that is like you're giving them a product and then they're representing you. Like, what are you giving back to them for that? You know what I mean? Like, so Baltimore next 5 years, like protect protect the homies. That's number one. Some direction for the scene. I'm very sure that in the next 2 there's going to be some. Number 3, like more Baltimore music festivals for Baltimore, and that's going to happen with Future Fest that's being planned right now. So I would say like I want those things for us, but like they're also happening at the same time. Just like need the city support and and more collaborators because we can't do this shit on our own. It's and it can't just be like here's like the poison of it all. Like everybody wants to serve their own community first, so they look good to their community. We got to serve everybody. That's just plain and simple because it's not about race and it never was. It's about bread and it's always been about bread. So like let's all figure out a way to put bread in each other's pockets and not be so separate.
Yeah.
Like because then we actually have a community. Like Baltimore's mad split up.
I mean, people in East Baltimore to go to West Baltimore. So that's just, it's just an example right there. It's a very simple one. That's a running bit, but it's really true.
And how much stronger could you be? You know what I mean? Like how much more representation could you have? Like think about like DMX, right? Like DMX didn't just stay in one place type shit. That's why all of Baltimore loved him type shit. And like one thing about like Baltimore and DMX was like he didn't have to leave to get hot. He was hot here. Like there's support here. The people are here. It's just like we have to surpass what the industry standard is.
I'll give you this. And the funny thing is you just make my job a little bit easier because you answered my last question. So that's good. And before I get into those rapid fire questions, I want to at least throw this one out there to you. Just an observation that I think adds a kind of buttons up your point there. You ever watch a movie and you look at like, what's it rated and who rated it? I look at like the Rotten Tomatoes and then I look at, all right, what did the Google users say? Like that's not the sort of approved reviewers. And if there's a difference, like a big difference, I'm like, real people liked it. The paid people hated it. That's what you're touching on.
Bro, if it's like a C on Rotten Tomatoes, it's probably fire. If it's like in the 50s or something, it's probably fire. If it's in the 80s or 90s, somebody's getting paid and they probably sold out box office type shit. Like there's like I hate that shit so much. I hate it. But
there's so many versions of payola from back in the day that happen. And, I encounter it here where, I'm going to toot my own horn briefly here. When I run into people in the streets, just real life shit, they're like, oh, hey, there's Rob, that's the podcast guy and so on. They know me. Then, it's like, and do you have like some of the other reactions? It's like, oh, snap, it's Rob Lee from the truth. And then you'll have like the people when I'm having these behind the scenes things for trying to do other things, trying to do community organized events. Yeah. So can you give us these numbers? Can you give us this analytics and so on? And it's just like, that's cool. And I have it and I go professional with it because I'm always on point with my stuff. I find like, the people in the city, they're actually doing the stuff. They like me. The people that are in these sort of other spots, they just gatekeep it. They're trying to get their friends and favorites.
Oh, yeah. Gatekeeping is like a very non-tangible way to make money.
Yeah. And I think we can end on that piece.
Absolutely.
So I got 4 or 5. I think I have 5 actually. Rapid fire questions. You don't want to overthink these, because everybody overthinks. It's like, man, what is my favorite movie? Which color do I like again? So
overthinking is my profession.
So here's the first one. Me too. Seeing more Aquarius stuff. So here's the first one. What is your favorite like studio snack? Do you keep any food in the studio? Any drinks, things of that nature?
Weed.
It's a very, very strong answer.
Weed and water. That's it. And like maybe like ginger ale, tequila. Like if I eat, I just consume. It just keeps going. I have a condition, so like I don't eat while I'm in the studio because I'm different.
I usually do the combination of what is it, Jameson and ginger ale. That's my
Come
go.
on, man.
It's my
Come on,
go-to.
man.
It's my go-to right there. I ask this question on occasion because I look for icons, I look for iconography, I look for sort of the visuals when you're exporting a place. What is the landmark for Baltimore in your opinion? Like, what is that sort of visual language? If I was making a hat and I'm like, I need to show Baltimore. We know New York is the Statue of Liberty or the Big Apple or whatever. What is the thing for us? And don't say crab cake. Don't say crabs. Don't say anything like that. I'll be real tight if you do.
No. That's a hard one because like I came from PG and like DMV normalizes Baltimore as a bad guy. And then you come up here and realize that like y'all thought, you know what I'm saying? It's like I don't know. Like there's Baltimore is very very dynamic. I would say you guys are a little bit of a well kept secret. Like I can't give you just one thing because I've seen so much, and like if I give, I can't give anything negative about it either. I will say that Baltimore is secretly high class.
That's great. I mean, it's a good answer. It's not quite the answer. It's a good answer. I
Yeah,
like
I'm
it.
I'm just gonna say y'all are secretly high class, so I'm gonna keep it there.
So just the pinky extended. Just
Hey, all I'm gonna say is come to the crib.
here's the next one. What is your what would be a dream collaboration for you, like artists living or dead that you want to like collaborate on with?
Hans Zimmer,
Okay.
absolutely. He's one of the biggest musical influences in my life.
Wow, it's a good one. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, man. Like, Hans Zimmer is part of everybody's life, whether you like it or not.
This is true. Prolific. One can make the smaller case for John Williams. Not quite the same, but still.
Hans, bro. Hans
Big,
Zimmer.
big.
Hans Zimmer will sell at a stadium, but also he's the nicest person in the world. Like that's the dream right there. Like just to be so nice that it's like I'm so good that I have to be nice and I will be nice because life is good. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's it. You can't really top him right now.
I prefer just to be a heel, just to be a villain. I'm just saying, just like I never want to be good. I'll just like self-sabotage so I can always just be a curmudgeon. Uh, so in one word, I only want one word from you here. Describe your music.
I'm going to say dynamic. That's the best thing that I can give you.
I appreciate it. And this is the last one I got from you.
No, I'm going with cinematic. That's the
Cinematic.
word. Yes. Yes.
So this is the last one I have for you.
Thank you.
And we talked a little bit about, getting started, so I definitely want to get this feedback from you. What is like the strangest thing about being an artist, like from your perspective? And I framed that I wrote this question when we were talking earlier about me flubbing through my introductions that I write. So I'm looking for an answer in that sort of space.
The funniest thing about being an artist, with your finished product, people will portray you as put together. But they have no clue who the fuck put that shit together. It's like, oh man, this guy's real put together. He really must have really been written shit. Like I'm chaotic as fuck. Like I know what my album looks like, and I'm really glad that it does. But I was a crackhead up 3 a.m. Had to go to work at 6 type just making sure that. I'm a fixator, y'all don't know, I'm a fixator. So it's like, oh yeah, he's he just did this. Nah, bro, I'm crazy. like,
It's real though. It's one of those things where it's just like, look, man, you think this is together? Look behind me. There is trash behind me currently.
Dude,
This is a green screen behind me. You know what I mean?
No, I that is exactly it. It's like the facade that the final project portrays, even though that's what you wanted it to be, but the journey was crazy.
The duct tape used. So
Bro, I'm telling you, it's like, oh man, that album was really good. Like this song was so sad. I'm like, bro, I almost didn't make it through that song. Like, you don't you don't understand. That's why you cried listening to it, because I wasn't gonna make it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like that type of shit. Like I appreciate you appreciating it, and I know you cried about it, but I cried for like 4 months about it. So it's like that shit, man.
Let me close out here. I want to close out with this. We can talk for forever because I mean, like I said, we're on the same like sort of odd wavelength here. So we're here. We're out here.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I want to thank you for coming onto the podcast and chopping it up with me. It's been a pleasure. And it's great seeing your cat in the background, by the way. And and in these final moments, I'm going to give you the space to share with the listeners where they can check you out, follow your work, website, social media, all of that good stuff. The floor is yours.
All right. So you can find me on Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud, now Tidal, now Amazon, so you can play it off your TV if you want to. At LordsWrath, LordsWrath, like Angry Jesus. And yeah, there's going to be some things coming out on some major places, so you kind of won't even have to look for them in a little bit. But keep an eye out on, even on Eulogy's page and Jefferson's page. Shout out to them. Shout out to SPR as well. They're going to be a big part of that. And as well, if you ever get a chance, check out Jefferson's Foundation. They're going to be a part of it as well. So we're going to make sure it's in your face. So you can find me on anywhere you want, whether any listening app, but we're going to make sure that you see it everywhere. So.
And there you have it, folks. I want to again thank LordsWrath for coming on and spinning the yarn with me. And I'm Rob Lee, saying that there's art and culture in and around your neck of the woods. You've just got to look for it.